Investigative journalist and conservative columnist John Solomon, along with author of the new book, The Russia Hoax, The Illicit Scheme to Clear Hillary Clinton and Frame Donald Trump, New York Times bestseller, and Fox News legal analyst Gregg Jarrett. All right, John, I'm going to start with you. The latest on Bruce Ohr and Andrew Weissmann.
Yeah, no, it's an important story. He's been a secret character that flew under our radar for 18 months. And here's what we now know this week. Based on his testimony, the notes I wrote about a couple of weeks ago, we now know that Bruce Ohr was facilitating Christopher Steele's contacts with the FBI and continuing them even after the FBI fired Christopher Steele for wrongly leaking to the media. He does this, and he's telling senior people in the Justice Department. Andrew Weissmann, Bob Mueller's current deputy, is in the know on this by Bruce Ohr. The FBI agents know this. They all know that Bruce Ohr has a conflict of interest. His wife is working for the same firm as Christopher Steele on the same project to discredit Donald Trump during the investigation. And nobody puts a stop to this. And nobody in the Justice Department even seems to be curious. Bruce Ohr said, Bob Mueller's never called me and interviewed me and asked me anything about what I was up to during the election or afterwards. What sort of Justice Department? It's sort of like girls gone wild at the DOJ. There's no oversight, and there's no one that seems to care in the Justice Department about this.
All right. So, Gregg, what is the legal significance of that, you know, with Ohr back-channeling and bringing all this information and back to the DOJ and the FBI? And I'm not even asking about the wife yet.
Bob Mueller's team and his forthcoming report, if there is a report, has been hopelessly tainted and corrupted because Andrew Weissmann was a participant in the Russian hoax using a false document, the dossier, to try to incriminate and frame Donald Trump for things he didn't do. So Weissmann, according to Bruce Ohr, knew that Christopher Steele, who composed it, was discredited as a liar and that the document itself was not credible. This is like a detective who frames a suspect and then appoints himself to investigate the suspect over the crime for which he's been framed.
And not just appoints himself to be the person to prosecute the suspect, but gets the real prosecutor out of the way and says, oh, you're conflicted. I mean, and that's Jeff Sessions.
Oh, absolutely. So whatever Robert Mueller comes up with should never be believed. It's like the exclusionary rule.
Right.
Tainted, illegally obtained evidence should be excluded.
All right. And, you know, John Solomon, I mean, what Gregg says is absolutely correct. And we've been saying this from the get-go. This is all fruit of the poisonous tree. Everybody knew that Hillary paid for the dossier with the DNC. And the amazing part, as I said in my open, and as I talk about in the book, is no one is even looking at that. And that campaign contribution, and yet they're on to hookers, whores, and campaign contributions on the other side.
I have talked to many professionals who worked in a different era of the FBI when these things didn't go on, and here's what they've told me. The only conspiracy they see is a conspiracy by the FBI to defraud and deceive the FISA court, to get a FISA warrant on false pretenses. That's a serious charge, and we have to have some accountability. I know people are talking about Congress and Jeff Sessions. The president has another option. What about a blue ribbon commission?